Hi, Tom Trento here with episode 5 of The Wizard of K Street. This is our investigative micro-series where we produce each week a short video exposing Grover Norquist, not as the super conservative he presents himself to be, but indeed as an ideological enemy of the state. And today we want you to listen to Grover in his own words. This was an interview taken by WorldNet Daily, where Grover Norquist lays out his views on immigration reform. Now, hang on, folks. It's just a minute or two long, but you're going to hear more non sequiturs, more logical fallacies, more outright lies in that short amount of time, but said so convincingly. It's like, wow, he speaks convincingly, but the content of what he's saying is so fallacious. He's arguing effectively for uncontrolled immigration, particularly as it relates to the H-1B visa program that lets in guest workers, lets them into our country for high-tech jobs where they already control 66% of the jobs. So listen carefully to what he says, and then I'll have some concluding thoughts after you analyze Grover Norquist on immigration reform.
My guest at this time is Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. We want to get his thoughts as Congress is now just a few weeks away from returning from summer recess and most likely once again taking up immigration reform legislation. For the most part, we're now waiting on the House side to see what, if anything, they end up passing and if that will end up being reconciled with the Senate bill, which passed earlier this year. Mr. Norquist's organization is in favor of comprehensive immigration reform legislation. And, sir, thanks so much for being with us.
Glad to be with you.
Just to set the stage for our listeners, what do you want to see in the bill? How satisfied are you with the Senate bill? And if you were to make any changes to it, what would they be?
We need to have an immigration policy that allows us to bring a lot more talent to the United States than the present one. The so-called H-1B visas, or visas for people with high skills, should be dramatically increased. Why not let people stay here and work if they'd like to? And that includes people who want to come in and work in the farm industry. We have a shortage of people willing to work in farming. We have crops rotting in the fields in those states where they decided they didn't like immigrants coming in and working in farms. Should we be pro-immigrant? Should McDonald's make hamburgers? Yes.
Did Grover just say crops are rotting in the fields? See, folks, this is why we're doing this investigative series, The Wizard of K Street, to expose some of his tactics and ways in which he operates. He will find some extreme anecdotal situation that happened on a dark side of the moon, extrapolate from there that it's the greatest problem plaguing America, and he's got to come running super lobbyist and increase guest workers in America and solve all of these problems on the high end of high tech and the low end of agri work. Don't buy it, folks. Sadly, though, his influence is so strong and his 30-year record so powerful that many good politicians on both sides of the aisle are falling for this nonsense. And those who are getting hurt are the American workers. So our series, The Wizard of K Street, is designed to reveal what he's doing, Grover. He's not the super conservative you think he is. He's, in fact, an ideological enemy of the state. His desire is to turn America into a Mariana paradise, no regulations, no borders, sort of very libertarian, and now a real part of the global community. Well, you got to go to Grover Must Go. Go to the website grovermustgo.org. Read all the evidence as to why those who are close to Grover, those who work closely with him, those who associate with him, ought to take a step back, ostracize him. He is not the conservative you think he is, folks. Tom Trento signing off. See you next week.